Okay, it's been a hectic morning. Okay. So welcome everyone to the North American Asexuality Conference put on by Asexual Outreach. Yeah, it's great to have everyone here. I have it. Okay. It's been an interesting morning, so just bear with us. So anyway, I'm going to kind of just go over the logistics of today in this opening session, just because that's probably what makes most sense. Ooh, that's my computer. So in your conference bag, I don't have one to show you, but you all got one. It's a brown bag. There should be, inside of your booklet, a thing that says Safer Space Policy. If you want to just pull that out, and I will be reading that along with you. So these are going to be just guidelines that we'll be trying to follow throughout the conference to ensure that the space is accessible and safe, or as safe as it can be for everyone, and to ensure that we have a positive atmosphere here. So I just ask that you listen along and take these considerations into mind. So you can follow along with me. Asexual Outreach is committed to providing a safer space. With that in mind, all attendees, presenters, volunteers, and organizers have a right to feel safe regardless of their sex, sexual orientation, gender, identity or expression, race, ethnicity, age, disability, cultural heritage, religion, social status, financial status, or appearance. That was a long list. Okay, so one thing that we want to be doing at this conference as well is content warnings. This is more aimed at our presenters, but we're going to be having discussions throughout the conference. So a content warning is a notification that what follows is a sensitive topic with which it may be difficult for some to engage. Examples of this are, so you would say, content warning, sexual assault, self-harm, and abuse, if you were going to be discussing those topics. To give a content warning, verbally state the words content warning and state the topics to be discussed, and then allow time for anyone who wishes to leave the room to do so. Confidentiality. So over the course of the conference, you will be hearing personal information about others and possibly sharing some personal information about yourself. We ask that you respect the space you are in and you don't share that information with others once you leave the conference, unless, of course, you receive explicit permission from that person. The same applies when you're sharing information about the conference on social media. It's okay to say where you are and what you're doing, but it's not okay to share personal information about another person without their consent. As far as filming goes, things have changed a little bit because we got a message from the U of T management about half an hour. They said you can't have any signs in the venue. So that's fun. So how filming is going to work is a number of the sessions, and this opening session as well, are going to be live streamed and filmed as well. Basically, in all of the other auditoriums, if you're in one of the front 4 rows, you might be caught on camera. If you need to sit in the front for accessibility reasons and you don't want to be on camera, just connect with one of our volunteers and we'll figure that out for you. In this space, it's basically the ground floor. There's filming. I probably should have opened with that. I'm sorry. I don't think any of you have been caught on camera, so I'll make sure to figure that out. So basically in this room, the ground floor is a filming zone, the second floor is a not filming zone. And as well, on your conference badges, you will see people have tickets. If there's no orange stripe, and if they have a black or a red lanyard, that means they're generally okay with being filmed. If they do have an orange stripe, that means that they don't want to be filmed. So really, before you take a picture of anyone or before you take a video, just check, hey, are you cool with being filmed? Get them to give you the thumbs up or that kind of thing. Great. So I'm just going to make sure I haven't missed anything there. Okay, so then we have one final thing to help make this conference more accessible. And that is our communication stickers. So you should have 3 stickers in your badges. They're red, yellow, and green. As you can see, I have a green sticker on my badge. So what these mean are, if you're wearing a green sticker on your badge, that means you're actively seeking communication with others and you'd like to be approached by someone who wants to talk. If a person is wearing a yellow sticker on their badge, it means that they would like to restrict conversation to people that they already know. So they might approach you, and if so, you can enter into a conversation with them, but if you haven't already met face-to-face, probably best that you don't approach them without them approaching you first. And a person wearing a red sticker on their badge is indicating that they don't want to talk to anyone or that they want to talk to very few people. So if they start a discussion with you, feel free to engage with them, but don't actively approach them. I'll just give you a minute if you want to put stickers on your badges. And now finally, along with our safer space policy, I jumped around a bit, sorry about that. If you feel any of these policies have been violated, or if you feel uncomfortable or in any situation or anything, please find someone with a red lanyard. Red lanyard means their staff or their volunteers, and they'll be able to help you out, and we'll try to work things out to make sure that the space is still accessible for you. Great. Sebastian, you want to? Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. Sorry. By the way, I'm Brian. Now we all know I'm a director or one of the directors and founders of Asexual Outreach. And I've been putting together this conference for the last year with Sebastian, who's also a director and also a founder. So, Sebastian's going to read a thing.
Cool. Hey. I will, don't worry. Hey, can you hear me? Fantastic. Okay. I'd just like to acknowledge that the University of Toronto is situated on unceded First Nations territory, so I'm just going to read a statement of that. So, I would like to acknowledge the sacred land on which the University of Toronto operates. It has been a site of human activity for 15,000 years. This land is the territory of the Huron-Wendat and Petun First Nations, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississauga of the Credit River. The territory was subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy and the Confederacy of the Ojibwe and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Today, the meeting place of Toronto is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community on this territory. We can never work to end systemic and institutional violence if we do not center the narratives of Indigenous people in our collective decision-making for social justice and equity. As settlers on the Credit River, we directly benefit from the colonization and genocide of the Indigenous people of this land. In order to engage in resistance and solidarity against the injustices inflicted on the Indigenous people of this land, it is imperative that we constantly engage in acts of awareness and decolonization. I would also like to pay my respects to Indigenous elders, both past and present, and to any those who may be here with us today, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Thank you.
And so finally, we have some key considerations, and I'm almost done reading, so don't worry. So basically, these are things you really want to keep in mind when you're meeting new people, when you're discussing things with others, just generally when you're in this space, and even beyond this space. So our first one is to respect diversity. So respect the identities and the lived experiences of others, as well as their opinions, beliefs, and points of view. Respect differences in knowledge and lived experience, and recognize that everyone is here to learn, and that everyone has something to offer. Find out what pronouns people use, and in the event that you don't know someone's pronouns, try to use gender-neutral pronouns, such as they. Finally, in this section, do not ask questions about people's bodies and appearances, because that's just weird. And avoid making homophobic, transphobic, racist, classist, sexist, and other oppressive comments. In general, in this space, we want to assume positive intent in all discussions. Everyone, including you, certainly including me, is going to make mistakes. So have both the generosity to accept others in their missteps, and the humility to accept and take responsibility for your own missteps. Avoid insults and negative talk, as these can detract from or destroy the security and safety of a space. Be aware that all of your actions and behaviors have effects on others, regardless of your intent. Try calling in instead of calling out to ensure a more positive group atmosphere. Be patient and compassionate in correcting others' mistakes, and in turn, be ready to accept when someone else points out something to you. And I guess I should clarify in calling in versus calling out. So basically, calling out is when someone does something problematic and you say, hey, that was problematic for whatever reason. And calling out certainly does have its place, and it certainly can be beneficial, but for a lot of people, being called out can be difficult for many different reasons, and it just doesn't generally promote a positive atmosphere. I assume because we're all attending this conference, we're all here to learn, and we're all here with positive intentions. So if someone says something problematic, if we can just gently try to help them out in, bringing them or calling them into our place of knowledge, and hey, this is why what you said was wrong. Here's how you could maybe try better. And I think it'll just create a better atmosphere for everyone here. Continuing on, accommodate others while speaking. So speak only for yourself, as others might not feel the same as you or agree with you. Use I statements such as I feel instead of saying we feel. Don't speak on behalf of a group you are not a part of or on behalf of anyone else. In addition, try not to monopolize conversation time. Everyone should have an opportunity to speak. And if you find yourself speaking more than everyone else in the space, scale it back a little bit and let others participate. And finally, respect boundaries. Everyone here has the right to participate and not to participate. Some people might not feel comfortable in certain situations, and that's totally okay. If something doesn't feel right to you, you have the right to express discomfort. You may not be the only one who feels this way. You also have the right to leave at any point. Stay attuned to your own needs. Everyone is welcome to leave and find a quiet space at any point. And again, conference volunteers with the red lanyards, if anything's going wrong, if you need anything, come ask us. And we'll be able to help you out. So, now that I'm done with reading, I'll just talk to you for a little bit longer, and then I'll kind of let you socialize, because we don't have a ton more planned for this session, just for reasons. Yes. Unfortunately, because U of T doesn't like us putting up signage, we don't have maps around the venue, and we won't have arrows pointing you different places. So we're going to try to station volunteers around the venue as best as we can, and if you get lost, just ask someone. Yes. And so there is there's a map in your conference booklet on the middle page. You have hopefully seen that. And that should be able to direct you as well. Again, if you need anything, feel free to let us know. So, in addition to that, because we want to try to promote that we're having this wonderful event and we're having these discussions, if you want to tweet about the conference or live tweet, we are using the hashtag NAAC 2015. Sebastian, is that correct? That's correct. Okay. Which stands for North American Asexuality Conference 2015. Yeah, I think that's all from me. Oh, finally, I would like to thank a number of people who have really helped us out in this event. Three groups in particular have helped us to pay for our ASL interpreters to make this event more accessible. So I would like to thank the Woodsworth College Student Association, the Arts and Science Student Union, as well as the Hart House Good Ideas Fund. In addition, I'd like to thank everyone here for everything you've contributed. Even if you haven't contributed monetary funds, the fact that you're here and you're engaging in this discussion and you're participating is super, super important. We all really appreciate it. Finally, I'd like to thank everyone, and this goes beyond just this space, but everyone who helped us out on our Indiegogo campaign, because without that campaign, we wouldn't have been able to do so much for this conference. So yeah, I think that's all for me. One more thing. So on the schedule, we have start times for all of the sessions. There aren't really end times. Generally, you want to cut the session off 10 to 15 minutes before the next session starts so that people can find their way to the next place or whatever. If you want to hang around after a session to discuss with the session presenters or anything like that, it's totally okay. If you don't want to go to sessions, that's also totally okay. I know, well, personally, I'm not going to be at many sessions just because I'll be very busy today. But it's really, really, when I've been at conferences and I know other people have expressed similar interests or similar things, a large part of these atmospheres are just having discussions and connecting with people. And so maybe not going to a session will allow you to better connect with people. And if that's the case, I really encourage you to go to them. We do have one final thing that I forgot. We do have caucus spaces in the conference, and you'll see on your schedule there's specific groups that are having caucus time slots. So I believe, I don't have the, oh, we do have the schedule. So